Sa bukod, tingnan pa na kasalanan ng video.
Media educators and learners called to become press freedom.
Sa bukod, tingnan pa na kasalanan ng video.
Media educators and learners called to become press freedom.
This corruption in media will be reduced to
With the recent pork barrel scam dominating the headlines, the clamor to end corruption is very high. The recent film On the Job timely depicts corrupt practices of government officials who hire convicts serving time in prison as hitmen and then return once the job was done. The movie received rave reviews both from local and international audiences as well. With such a warm acceptance from the Filipino audience, does this mean that the average moviegoer is now ready for a grittier and darker type of movie? What kind of future will the movie industry have after On the Job?
Good evening. You are watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel. I'm Karen Jimeno, sitting in for Jing Magsaysay. Tonight, we are joined by director Eric Mati and production designer Richard Somes of the hit movie On the Job. Good evening and thank you for being with us tonight. It's really an honor to have both of you here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So first things first, let's talk about On the Job. I saw this movie and it really made me proud to say that this is a Filipino produced and directed and written movie. Amazing. So congratulations.
Thank
Can you tell me basically what inspired you to write this movie? Is it really based on real events?
Yes, sometimes you stumble upon stories na mga newspaper, ganun. But with this one, it was just a casual conversation with one of the service drivers in our shoot. And this was maybe 10, 12 years ago. And he was talking about, he came from prison, and then he did work inside the prison as a hitman. But he was small.
So hindi mo akalain na hitman.
If we were to cast him true to his size and character, he could be like Berting Labra. Kind of.
Malayo, no? From the image na hitman, parang imagine mo, Vin Diesel type. Yes.
And then from there, of course, it stayed, the story stayed with us. And we had several back and forth. We even had Somes and I developed another story based on that, but it never took off. We weren't able to write an entire script at it. And then later on, when I wanted to, you know how it is when you just want to get it out of your system because it keeps bugging you. We decided to just shoot one scene, which eventually ended up the opening scene.
So you shot a scene without even deciding to make the movie yet?
And without even having
anyone.
a script. I only have that one scene for the script, and we shot a trailer for it. Joel Torre was in there. His nephew is, who now becomes Gerald Anderson. The nephew is there. And of course, it was a small scale setup compared to the opening scene in the film where it's a big fiesta. And then from there, some people got interested. Of course, it never went anywhere, the interest. But that interest made me want to write the script completely. So, getting Michiko Yamamoto to co-write the script.
And how long did it take for you guys to prepare this film?
4 years in the waiting, and 2 weeks till shooting.
2 weeks till shooting, so 4 years of conceptualizing, writing,
Yes.
and then just to shoot would be, I mean,
No.
from the time that you decided to do it.
Yes.
From then, 2 weeks.
Because it was a surprise. We always set it aside. If people ask what are the projects you have, most of the major studios have rejected the script already. They said it's too dark, it's too bleak. So we just keep it on the side. But right after we did Tik Tik, the Aswang Chronicles, the studios got interested again. So what do you have in the pipeline? What do you want to do? And we didn't pitch that. It's just that Star Cinema, who read the script earlier, said, what happened to that script? So we said, we still have it. we want to look at it, they said. And 3 days after, they said, yes, we're shooting it, we're doing it. And then we got Gerald. Gerald was ready to shoot in 2 weeks.
Wow, amazing.
So we had to fast track everything.
Since you mentioned the word dark, it reminds me of all the prison scenes in the movie. Director
Yes.
Richard, was this really shot inside a prison? Because it's so realistic.
Actually, it was a major discussion in the pre-production meetings. If we really wanted to shoot in a real prison cell, which as we're considering before Manila City Jail, and we even come to a point that we want to try to shoot inside Muntinlupa. And then the major consideration for on the job, on the production design aspect, was the logistics more than the look of it. So I've discussed to the producers and most especially to Derek Eric, and I asked them if they're willing to, to decide if we're gonna do this in full
Entirely
set,
on a set.
entirely on set. So the prison cell, which is the chunk of the film, like it's almost 40 or 50 sequences in the film.
Yeah.
So
We took out a lot more scenes.
So
yeah,
talagang,
so
if you look
it's
at the
beyond
raw
50.
film, it was more.
Yeah, it was more. And based on that breakdown of the script in the prison cell, that's where we decided, okay, let's go do this in set.
It's worth it to build the set instead.
Wow.
Because it takes up so much of the chunk. It makes it for a more controlled environment for all of us. The actors are in good situation.
Yes.
We both shot a film in the Muntinlupa way back in
Like,
2002.
20,000. Year 2000.
Year 2000. We shot there for 5 days.
And we come out undressed already.
Sobrang init ba? Sobrang init or dahil sa mga ibang kasama dun sa preso. But it really amazing job. It looks so realistic. Akala ko nga sa loob yun nung preso. And I've been to some prison cells before. Kaya iniisip ko nun, how were they able to accomplish all those angles and working in those conditions? Ang galing.
It's totally part of a major plan also, most especially on the lighting aspect, how we could light this in such a way, what really want, how this would come out. But on the other hand, it was not totally a realistic sense of prison, because Derek Eric really wanted to make it more larger than life. So based on the location that we had and that it's available for the shoot, that's where we adjust everything, even the look of it. It's all totally. All the walls, it's not realistic. It's age. It's totally we've painted.
Kaya
changed
just
the
to
entire-
make it
we've
look
changed
like an
everything.
actual prison.
Yeah, even the cell, and at the same time, the most crucial one are the details of it. That's why a lot of people's been texting me that they could really smell
Just watching it.
the prison. Yeah, and for us, I think that's the achievement of it.
Yes.
And
Well, another question would be the theme of this whole movie. It's so relevant now, especially with the corruption scandals on pork barrel, and I'm wondering if, since you said this was 4 years ago when you started conceptualizing it, did it have anything to do with the timing of when you released it, or nagkataon lang? It's so timely.
it was just all timing, and I'm not the kind of guy. I'm not the kind of filmmaker who comes up with a
Socio-political message.
political.
Yes, actually, I was looking at the past movies you've come up with. Such a wide range. Meron kang Gagamboy, meron Scorpion Eyes, of course, Magic Temple, and then, of course, something like this that is so socially relevant. So, did you
Yep.
think about the
No,
timing? of
it was if you want a really good thriller, and you want it based on if it could actually happen, you're bound to touch up in the Philippines. You're bound to touch on political, social issues, and it's incidental. It makes the story more engaging, but it was not a movie made out of my wanting to my
raise-
agenda
yes.
of talking about a political
Yes.
issue or
So it was more of the goal was really the
it
artistic.
really is base it on the human stories. The human stories are there's the police and then there's the one and of course you wanna when you do a film you really wanna impart an insight on something that people could relate to, that everyone understands, and everything there that was put, you could easily relate to it, even before Ben-Hur Lui came out or
Yes.
Napoles came
Yeah.
out. You would have understood it. It's just that now it was framed
Yeah.
by a much bigger story that's kind of happening now, no?
Yes. And is it the first time that both of you are working together as director and production designer? Because I know that Richard is also a
filmmaker.
director, a filmmaker. So how often do you guys work together?
Well, actually, it's kind of
Reunion.
a reunion, a dramatic comeback, because when I leaped into directing, filmmaking like 2006, and that was my last project as PD for Direct Eric also. It was a fantasy film. And then after that, I keep on continuing doing independent films right there and there. And that's also the time that Derek Eric worked on the advertising. But during those years, I've been his production designer in the advertising world.
Side.
So we keep on doing advertising.
But he doesn't do production design himself. That he stays on the set. He doesn't do much of that anymore. It was only on the job, because he has teams of production design teams under him. So he supervises everything, and then it's his team who's handling the film. But with this one, I asked him, no, you have to be on the set
So it was
every
a
day.
special favor for you. This is not your normal.
Actually,
It wasn't a favor, it was a demand.
yeah, but
One of the advantages of long-standing friendship.
but actually, it's also my offer. I miss doing production design, and maybe this is the time. And knowing the milieu of the whole film,
No one could pull it off except him.
yeah,
No one. And I say this with us.
I will believe that because
with a
I've seen some
period and
Filipino
exclam.
films, and ito umpisa pa lang, you could sense na pang Hollywood level like the quality of the film, which actually made me wonder, is it very expensive to do this type of films? Of course, you've worked on several projects, and this is with Reality Entertainment, which both of you are part of as owners. But is this an expensive film compared to the normal films?
It is expensive. Once the major stars came into the picture, it was inevitable that it has to be made on a bigger scale. When no one wanted to do on the job, we just decided to do it independently. We thought we wanted to do it independently. We were thinking of a 10-15 million budget, getting good actors, but do not have a strong marketability. But when Piolo came in, Gerald came in, all the supporting actors came in, we figured it has to be done at a certain level of quality, and
I think you've achieved that. It's
but
amazing.
on the standard of OTJ, with the budget that we're talking right now, actually it's quite normal
yes,
doing an action thriller film as opposed to the budget that's been allocated right now with the films that we've been watching for several years.
So it's not like sobrang out of this world yung
Budget?
budgets. Yeah.
No, it's quite
Oh,
normal.
it
it's
looks
quite
like a
small
very
based on a.
high-budget film.
It's quite small based on a. Yeah, it's just managing the what you want to get out of it. Like with the prison cell, we want to highlight it. Manila as a backdrop, we haven't seen so many films that shoot chase scenes in the middle of a street.
But in a real
And,
sense, there's still a lot of money involved. But it's
But it's achievable to make a
achievable
film this
and
good
acceptable. acceptable.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna ask you later on about the casting because since you already mentioned those major actors, but there's still more to discuss with our guests. News Cafe will return after these messages. You're still watching News Cafe on the Solar News Channel, and we are still joined by our guests, Director Eric Mati and Richard Somes. Good evening again. And now we go to the topic of the actors in On the Job. Actually, when I heard it, yung lead actor